All right, so buckle up, everybody, for a deep dive into something pretty crucial if you're thinking about becoming a pilot: the FAA Private Pilot Knowledge Test. We've got the study guide right here, and we're going to break down what it takes to pass this thing, whether you actually want to fly or just kind of want to know what pilots need to know.
Yep, think of this as your prep for that written exam.
Right.
And it covers a surprisingly wide range of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking aerodynamics, so like how planes actually stay up in the air.
The physics of it all.
Exactly. And then the systems of the airplane itself. You got to know the ins and outs of how it all works.
The nuts and bolts.
Yeah, nuts and bolts. And then there's weather. Got to be able to decode those patterns. And, of course, the rules of the skies.
FAA regulations.
Right, those FAA regulations. And then navigation, understanding medical factors that can affect flying.
Which is interesting. I don't think a lot of people would think about that when they think about flying.
No, but it's important. And you also got to know how to recognize dangerous situations like stalls and spins, and even how incidents get reported to the NTSB.
The folks who investigate accidents.
Exactly. And, they don't mess around. 70% is the passing score. That's what you're aiming for.
So no pressure or anything, but you got to know your stuff. And since we can't just download all this information into our brains Matrix style, how do we get started?
Well, there are a few different ways to tackle it.
Right. Our source talks about self-study, so good old-fashioned books, videos, computer programs.
Yeah, you got those classic programs like Sporty's Academy or King Schools that kind of walk you through it all.
They're designed to really make sure you get it.
Yeah, and the big plus with that is flexibility. You can study at your own pace, on your couch, in your pajamas, if you want.
Exactly. You don't need to be some kind of aeronautical engineer to grasp this stuff.
No, not at all.
And then for folks who maybe prefer something a little more structured, there are formal ground schools.
Right, some flight schools offer them as part of their training.
Or you might find them at like a community college or something.
Yeah, or even these intensive weekend courses, if you really want to dive in head first.
Get it all done.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you've got questions about training, AOPA, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, is a great resource.
They have a ton of info.
Yeah, you can call them up at 800-USA-AOPA.
So lots of options. But the big question is, with all these choices, what's the best way to go about it?
Well, the guide says it really comes down to how you as an individual learn best.
Right. Are you the kind of person who can, make a plan and stick to it, be disciplined about studying on your own?
Or do you need that classroom setting, that schedule, to keep you on track?
And I guess those weekend courses are good if you're the type who can just absorb a ton of info in a short amount of time.
Yeah, especially if you've already got some background knowledge. It's a great way to just, do a super focused review.
Just cram it all in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most interesting things the guide points out is the difference between just knowing something and actually understanding it.
It's like the difference between memorizing facts and actually being able to apply them, right?
Exactly. There's this great quote from Charles Kettering, the inventor. He said, "You can know a lot about something and not really understand it."
And that's so true, I think, in so many areas of life.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But in aviation, it's really critical.
Yeah, because it's not just about passing a test. It's about, staying safe up in the air.
Right. You need to really grasp the principles behind everything you're doing.
And that's why the study guide really emphasizes using a mix of resources. Don't just rely on one textbook, branch out.
Yeah, read aviation magazines, explore different books, watch videos,
Yeah, sometimes just seeing or hearing something explained in a different way can really make it click.
Absolutely.
And another important point is how the ground school stuff connects with the actual flight lessons.
Yeah, it's like, if you're going to build something, you got to have the right tools and know how to use them.
So reading ahead for your flight lesson is like prepping those tools.
Exactly. It makes that time in the air so much more valuable.
So you're not just fumbling around trying to figure things out.
Right.
So when you're finally ready to take the knowledge test, where does that all happen?
Well, you got to go to an authorized testing center.
Okay.
And it's all done on a computer these days.
So no more paper and pencil?
Nope. Your flight school might even be a testing site, or you could use a private FAA designated center.
There are places specifically for this?
Yeah, like CATS, FAA testing centers, for example.
Yeah.
And they sometimes offer discounts to AOPA members, by the way.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so you get your results right away, which can be a little nerve-wracking, but you need to keep those results.
So don't lose that piece of paper.
Right, because you'll need them when you take your practical flight test. And just remember, you have 24 months from the time you pass the written test to complete the flight portion.
So you got some time, but you gotta keep moving.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about all the different subjects you need to know for this knowledge test, different ways to study.
Yeah, figured out whether you're a self-studier or a classroom learner.
We talked about the importance of not just memorizing, but truly understanding what you're learning.
Absolutely.
And we walked through the steps of actually taking the test.
So, are you ready to hit the books?
Well, I'm thinking about it. But on a more serious note, I think it's interesting how this idea of really digging deep into a subject, seeking out different perspectives, applies to so many things in life.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
It's not just about aviation. It's about anything you want to master, anything you're passionate about.
It's about going beyond the surface and really getting to the heart of it.
Exactly. So whether you're taking to the skies or tackling a project, remember to approach it with that kind of curiosity and that thirst for real understanding.
And who knows, maybe you'll even surprise yourself with what you can achieve.
Food for thought. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next time.